Good morning, Sheriff Steve. How you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Already Erin is waving frantically, so let us both get out of her way, but she's got the first question.
Well, it looks like lawmakers are going to be talking about this, how many deputy constables that a constable can have. Is this a political motivator in your sheriff's race? Well, why is this bill needed?
Well, to begin with, let me address the first thing. It's certainly not political because the bill was discussed and drafted and even introduced 2 weeks before this fellow decided to run for sheriff. And so it may be political in the fact that he decided to run for sheriff because he's going to lose some of his deputy constables. But in 2012, in Caddo Parish, you could only have one deputy constable because the constable's job is very, very limited.
Excuse me.
$350 a month.
Excuse me just a second, Sheriff Steve. You're talking about Mr. Hatfield, your opponent your declared opponent in the sheriff's race. I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you.
Okay. And so in 2012, you could only have one deputy constable, and there's only 6 parishes in the whole state that allow one. Most of them don't have any. And so in 2012, the law was changed where they could have unlimited deputy constables in Caddo Parish, just Caddo Parish. And so it's grown from that now to where they had 1 to now he's got 18. And as you can read in the morning paper, his own justice of the peace, which is their purpose, serving the justice of the peace court, the constable's purpose is to be there for court and to serve papers, and he's only been to 2 out of 5 sessions of the court since the first year. So in other words, the job is not being done. And he's got 18 people that have full law enforcement power. Most of them have absolutely no training. A couple of them have some limited training, and I'm not only the sheriff here in Caddo Parish, as you know, and you're responsible for law enforcement, but I'm also the chairman of Post Council, which is Peace Officer Standards and Training. And we've been discussing for over a year the fact that we're having more and more and more people in law enforcement with less and less and less training.
Are these people paid?
No, they're not paid. They're just volunteers.
And it's like your buddies, you say, okay, I want you to be a deputy constable for me. Here you go. Here's a gun. Go arrest some people. That's
correct, and you have full law enforcement powers, just like a deputy. Louisiana is the only state I know of that has, if you work 40 hours a week and you're in law enforcement, you have to go through a 360-hour academy, plus receive 20 hours a year in-service training. But if you work only 39 hours a week, if you're considered part-time, or you're a volunteer, you have to have absolutely no training your entire career.
So literally, let me just clear this up by pointing, using myself as an example, who has absolutely no law enforcement training. The only weapon I've ever fired in my life is a 6-hour Mosquito 22 caliber pistol.
Okay.
I could be appointed. I could today be appointed a deputy constable without any training, without anything.
Without anything, and you would have full arrest powers. You could arrest Erin, which might not be a bad idea, but you could turn over there and say you're under arrest
and put me in handcuffs.
Put you in handcuffs, and then you could stop people on the way home, and if they're driving strangely, you could issue them tickets. You could do anything you wanted to.
Pardon me just a second, Sheriff Steve. So basically, and I'm just looking at this from a litigious point of view, this no training deputy constable thing at some point could open Caddo Parish up, or a lot of different parishes in Louisiana, for some pretty heady lawsuits, yes?
I would think so, and that's what I appeared before the commission yesterday and told them. I said, look, you've got 18 now, plus the constables out there policing and doing things using police powers, and they're paid by you, the constable is, and then he hires the deputy constable. So ultimately, I'm no attorney, but ultimately you're going to be sued when they do something stupid like you're reading in the paper all the time. And I think too much of my profession than to just let a bunch of wannabes get out there and start policing and ride around, and that's exactly what we've got. And so it's really a laughable situation, not only in Louisiana that they would allow something like this statewide, but we've got to stop the bleeding here, at least in Caddo Parish. We're the only parish that does this. We're putting more and more law enforcement folks on the street with less and less training.
Mr. Hatfield says they use these for special events. They're used for lots of other purposes. And your response to that?
I've never heard of a special event that they work. Never, ever. And I've never heard of 24-hour patrols. I thought that's what the deputies and Shreveport police are doing. And we don't know what kind of crimes they're working, if any. But I know that some have been reported by them. At least they're reported in the media, but they're not reported to Shreveport or to Caddo. So we have no idea how to pattern the crimes or where to turn them in, where the reports are. So it's really a problem. And most folks would just, their mouth would gap open and say, I can't believe this is going on.
Once again, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but the word that pops into my head is vigilante. Am I a little off the mark here?
Well, I don't know what their motive. I don't know what their motive is, but that would be a way that you could describe them if they had if they had a particular purpose. But yeah, it's a personal squad that can do anything. But the main thing they want to do is just to have police powers and carry a gun and a badge, and that's. I don't know. I've been doing this a long time and been involved statewide in training issues, and we have got to continue to professionalize our profession. We've got to. Can you imagine if CNN or Fox News came in here and came to me as head of post and said, well, how much training do these deputy constables and constables have? And I said, well, they have absolutely none. And yet they can police and they can arrest people and write tickets and work cases. And I said, well, that's what the state law says. So, yeah, it's kind of it's just absurd. And all I'm trying to do, and like I say, this bill was filed well before this fella decided to do what he did, or I don't know when he decided to do it, but before he did it. And it's just my responsibility. I can't shy away from doing what's right for the citizens of Caddo Parish because somebody decides later on to run for sheriff and then holler politics. So anyway, we'll take it in stride. We're going to still serve the citizens of Caddo Parish, and we're going to be there for them as the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. And I know Shreveport Police is doing a good job inside the city, and we are outside and occasionally inside the city. And so we'll keep doing that and trying to keep unlicensed, uncertified, untrained people from interfering.